What up, my North County fam? Y'all missed me, didn't you? I did. I missed y'all too. So I'm back. This your girl Kelly here to give you the rundown on what happened in St. Louis County government this week. And here's what you need to know. So first, County Executive Page Mutumbo'd, more professionally known as vetoed, legislation passed by the council tweaking the schedule of waste haulers. So weeks ago, I spoke about this piece of legislation that would prohibit waste haulers from picking up at commercial property that borders residential properties before 5:30 a.m. Now, County Executive Page, like I said, he Mutombo'd this bill, y'all. He ain't having this. He ain't checking for this bill. Did not sign off on it. And so what was his beef with the bill? So he gave kind of three reasons. He said, number one, who's going to enforce this legislation? Because the health department ain't got the people and they ain't got the coins to do that. Number two, he said there's no clarity on identifying the properties that this would apply to. And number three, he said forcing waste haulers to start their trash pickup routes later, it could result in more traffic congestion and could also negatively impact the safety of pedestrians, especially school-aged children. So, County Executive Page, he recognized, the legit concerns that were expressed regarding missed trash pickups and the noise waking up folks, when these waste haulers are, picking up waste and picking up the trash on their routes. But he said, y'all, this legislation ain't it. And he said, look, y'all, I'll work with y'all. Let's work together on this to make sure that we can come up with another solution to properly address this issue. So yeah, y'all, to be continued on that. We'll see what happens. The next thing you need to know. So Councilwoman Dunaway, she owned up to legislation she sponsored that had unintended harms regarding the county's electric vehicle charging code. So what is this all about? Check this clip out of Councilwoman Dunaway breaking this down.
A couple of months ago, we passed an aggressive piece of EV legislation. My intent at the time was to make a statement that we in St. Louis County are investing in the infrastructure of the future and taking a big step toward doing what we can to protect future generations from the devastating effects of a climate in the wild throes of change. What I never intended was to hurt people or create impediments to opening and running small businesses. As a small business owner myself, I understand intimately what it's like to put yourself out there and take a chance with your ideas, brave enough to make a living from your hard work and heart. I heard your council comment a couple of weeks ago, Danny Wolk. I've heard from other business owners and members of the community. The current EV legislation is hurting people and hindering small businesses, and because that is not what I ever wanted or intended, I'm proposing some changes. In this bill, the biggest three changes are that the EV requirement will only apply to parking lots with 31 spots and more. The EV requirement will no longer be triggered by parking lot overlay projects or changes in use and occupancy. And we have created a number of exceptions, 4 paragraphs worth, for businesses that won't be subject to the requirement. I am under no illusion that this new bill is perfect or that we won't be continuing to tweak this bill as other unintended consequences are unveiled or situations change on the ground. But I'm grateful to the community for giving me the chance to hear you out, to work with you together to come up with bill language that undoes the harm that I didn't intend, that's being caused to small businesses, and staying with me as we move forward toward a more sustainable future in St. Louis County. As your councilwoman, I cannot promise I won't make mistakes from time to time, but what I have and will continue to show is that I know how to admit when I've made a mistake, and I'm willing to work just as hard to fix it as I did to make it in the first place. With that, Madam Chair, I move for the adoption of Substitute Bill number 1 for Bill number 60.
So I really wanted to highlight this as it shows when residents are engaged and constantly and consistently express themselves and speak to how legislation has negatively impacted them. that mug can be changed, y'all. I mean, bills are passed, for sure, they're passed by the county council, but they ain't set in stone. So, because they can indeed be changed even after the legislation's passed. So, I'm just saying and putting that out there for the people to know. And the last thing, yes, we're rounding out with the legislative corner for this week. So there were 3 bills passed, and I wanted to kind of highlight them just so y'all were aware. So 2 bills were passed accepting grant coins. So one bill accepts $157,200 to support a cybersecurity analyst position for the Regional Cybersecurity Initiative at the St. Louis Fusion Center. In the St. Louis Fusion Center, it provides a multi-jurisdictional, multidisciplinary approach to defend and respond to acts of terrorism, and it protects the region's critical infrastructure and key resources. The other bill that was passed, accepting grant coin, accepts up to $1.79 million to support the Healthy Homes program, which provides home assessments and rehabilitation services for residents. And then the last bill I'm lifting up that was passed, it tweaks a previously passed ordinance approving a contract for a project to make improvements to Washington Street and Florissant. So originally the project was estimated not to exceed $295,000. The new cost, it will not exceed $467,000. And the project includes pavement resurfacing and upgrading pedestrian facilities to make sure they are in full ADA compliance. And ADA stands for Americans with Disabilities Act standards for accessible design. And when we're talking about pedestrian facilities, we're talking about sidewalks, driveways, side street crossings, curb ramps, and signals. So that's all I have for y'all this week. Please stay safe out there. You'll see me soon. Peace.